Serial killers. You've heard of many, and most might trace their dark inspiration to one lethal shadow from the late 1960s. With a grim toll of around 40 victims to his name, this was no ordinary murderer. Known as the Zodiac Killer, he wasn't just content with committing heinous crimes. He transformed them into perverse games. He mailed menacing letters and taunting ciphers to newspapers, daring them to decipher his messages and challenging society to catch him. His cryptic notes, interwoven with harrowing threats and describing the murders in detail, plunged the public into a profound abyss of fear. And as the years passed, with many of his ciphers remaining unsolved, the haunting presence of the Zodiac remains one of America's most haunting mysteries. In this video, we're going to take you back to the 1960s to observe the thrill and fear of the perplexing Zodiac Killer and discuss his methods of luring his tragic victims to their death pit. So, if you're ready, then let's take it from the beginning. Well, as the 1960s neared its close, Northern California was gripped by the emergence of a malevolent figure. By December 1968, a faceless terror began its spree, claiming 5 lives in the heart of the San Francisco Bay Area, lurking in both bustling cities and quiet countryside. Young couples and a solitary cab driver became the chilling targets, with attacks spanning Benicia, Vallejo, the outskirts of Napa County, and San Francisco itself. Among his victims, 2 lived to tell the tale, while the Zodiac himself chillingly boasted of 37 conquests. This sinister figure wasn't just content with the act, he sought an audience. Adopting the Zodiac moniker, he sent harrowing letters and cards to the press, menacing them with further atrocities and even bombings, unless they showcased his messages. But within these letters were cryptic ciphers, dark puzzles where he darkly intimated gathering souls for eternity. Of his puzzling scripts, 2 still defy interpretation, with one only recently deciphered in 2020. Amid countless theories swirling about his identity, the name Arthur Lee Allen stands out, an erstwhile school teacher with a criminal past who passed away in '92. But the Zodiac's legacy wasn't just limited to his crimes. His written communication ceased in 1974, yet the case's unparalleled enigma captured global attention, enduring over the years. Although the San Francisco police labeled it inactive in 2004, it was revived by 2007. The case lingers on in Vallejo, Napa, and Solano, with the California Department of Justice keeping the investigation alive since its inception in 1969. In the waning days of 1968, young lovers David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, found their innocent rendezvous on the remote Lake Herman Road turned deadly when an unknown assailant cut short their blooming romance with gunfire. The police, grasping at the vestiges of evidence, were left floundering for motives and suspects. Half a year later, on a silent July morning in 1969, tragedy befell another couple in Vallejo. Darlene Farron, 22, and Mike Mageo, 19, were ensnared by the same malevolent force. As they reclined in their parked vehicle, the glow of a flashlight preceded a hail of bullets. Farron succumbed, while Mageo, despite being grievously wounded, clung to life. The audacity of this shadow grew. Within the hour, a chilling voice called the Vallejo Police Department, staking claim to both the July ambush and the December tragedy the previous year. Even with fingerprints, a survivor's account, decoded messages, and a torrent of tips, the phantom eluded capture. By September's end, near Lake Berryessa's serene waters, Cecilia Shepard and Brian Hartnell became his next prey. Cloaked in a hood adorned with a sinister circle cross emblem, he terrorized the duo, binding them before mercilessly attacking. Before departing, he etched a macabre note on their car door, later phoning the Napa police to gloat. Emergency services discovered the critically wounded couple. Tragically, Shepard couldn't overcome her injuries. Fast forward to mid-October in San Francisco's Presidio Heights. Paul Stine, a 29-year-old cabbie, met his end at the hands of this malevolent specter. Initially dismissed as a mere robbery gone awry, the reality dawned when the Chronicle received a haunting confession. Over time, whispers and clues hinted that this nefarious entity, dubbed the Zodiac Killer, may have cast a wider net of terror. Robert Domingos and Linda Edwards, gunned down near Santa Barbara in 1963, and the stabbing of college student Sherry Jo Bates in Riverside in 1966, might also bear the harrowing hallmark of the Zodiac. Moving forward in the story, in the late summer of 1969, 3 prominent newspapers, The Examiner, Chronicle, and Vallejo Times-Herald, each found a chilling handwritten letter in their mail, bearing no return address. The message began with a haunting confession. "Dear editor, I am the killer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman." Embedded within were intricate details of the crimes, knowledge only the true perpetrator would possess. With a stark warning of more impending doom, the killer demanded these messages adorn the front pages of the publications. Each message bore a haunting symbol, a circle dissected by a cross, which would become the macabre signature of the Zodiac Killer. Alongside these messages was a cryptic cipher, split into 3 parts, holding the tantalizing promise of the killer's true identity. As local police forces, backed by the might of the FBI, scrambled in their pursuit, another ominous note landed at the San Francisco Examiner, introducing himself with, "Dear editor, this is the Zodiac speaking." The writer delved into the grim specifics of his deeds, mockingly chiding the police for their failures. But then, a glimmer of hope. Just days later, Donald Hardin, a high school teacher, and his spouse, Betty, cracked one of the elusive ciphers. The decrypted message was no less harrowing. "I like killing people because it is so much fun. Man is the most dangerous animal of all." Not long after, following the homicide of cabbie Paul Stine, the San Francisco Chronicle received another letter, penned in that now dreadfully familiar hand. It chillingly detailed Stine's end and was accompanied by a blood-soaked fragment of Stine's apparel. The epistle concluded with a menacing plot to target a school bus. The Zodiac remained an elusive specter, continually sending taunting letters filled with ciphers, claims of additional victims, and scorn for the police's ineffectiveness. However, in 1974, the terrifying correspondence ceased. Yet, the quest to unmask the Zodiac remains relentless, stretching on even today. In the aftermath of Paul Stine's brutal 1969 murder, witnesses provided descriptions that culminated in a composite sketch of the presumed Zodiac Killer. Yet as the evidence and list of suspects expanded, the Zodiac remained elusive, and over 50 years have passed since the haunting Faraday Jensen murders. The Zodiac's identity, however, remains one of history's greatest mysteries, escaping the clutches of relentless law enforcement efforts. The public's enduring fascination with this unsolved enigma has given rise to a myriad of theories. Some suggest the notorious Unabomber Ted Kaczynski might be the mastermind behind the Zodiac's cryptic letters. Others, in more audacious speculation, assert that the infamous Charles Manson was the Zodiac. There's even a conjecture that he relocated to Scotland, undertaking a new series of crimes before eventually abandoning his malevolent path. Among the notable suspects is Arthur Lee Allen. Robert Graysmith, recognized for his true crime contributions and former role at the San Francisco Chronicle, prominently featured Allen in his works. Despite Graysmith's assertions, Allen, who passed away in 1992, has never been conclusively linked to the Zodiac crimes. Another potential candidate emerged in 2014, Earl Van Best Jr., proposed by Gary L. Stewart in his book as the Zodiac Killer. Stewart claims Best, his purported father, bore a striking resemblance to the police's composite sketch. Yet, like with Allen, irrefutable evidence connecting Best to the crimes remains absent. That same year, another potential confession surfaced. A claim arose that Louis Myers had, before his death in 2002, confessed to being the Zodiac. While some aspects of Myers' life coincided with the Zodiac's timeline, concrete proof is yet to be found. A recent twist came with the 2023 docuseries Myth of the Zodiac Killer, which put forth the theory of multiple culprits behind the murders. Andrew Knock, the series director, pointed out inconsistencies across the crimes, from differing weapons and modus operandi to varying victim profiles and crime scenes. These inconsistencies hint at the potential involvement of more than one individual. However, still up to this day, we haven't any reasonable proof of the killer. And as a reminder, most likely, the killer now won't be in this world or will be in his last age. So it's highly unlikely that the real Zodiac Killer will ever be recognized. That's all for today's video, guys. What did you think of the story? Tell us your views in the comments section. Thank you so very much for taking the time to watch this video. See you in the next video. Until then, cheers!